we're just getting into the word problems of doing the same thing that we've been doing. Overall, when it comes to the word problems, generally speaking, it's all about drawing your triangle and then doing the exact same things we've been doing. There's nothing new about the actual mathematics behind what we're doing today. The challenge is setting up the picture. So honestly, throughout notes today, we're probably not going to go through and solve every single problem because you know how to solve. We're going to focus more on the setup. That way you get more work time to do the actual problems themselves. We'll solve a couple, but that'll be about it. Now, in order to set up our word problems appropriately, there is some vocabulary that goes with it to kind of tell us a little hint on how to draw the triangles when it's not an obvious picture. Those two vocabulary terms are known as an angle of elevation and an angle of depression. Don't worry, it's not sad. I know, terrible joke. So, an angle of elevation, by definition, is an angle in which one side is horizontal and the other one goes above that horizontal. In other words, okay, here's the horizontal. Then from one of the ends of that, you go upwards. This right here is the angle of elevation. Now keep in mind that I could have done the horizontal and gone upwards from the other side. That would be the angle of elevation. It's right next to that horizontal. Now, when we're working with an angle of elevation, we're going to be creating a right triangle. So in either case, I'm going to write that that's the angle we're talking about. In either case, we've just got this horizontal upwards triangle. And when we come across problems that say to use an angle of elevation, you're going to draw a triangle that looks like one of those two. If you come across one that talks about an angle of depression by definition is an angle made with a horizontal line going downwards. That's exactly right. Horizontal, and from either side it can go downwards. Horizontal, could go from the other side, it goes downwards. And in either case, we're creating right triangles. So, we close it off with a right angle next to the horizontal. That right there is the angle we're talking about in an angle of depression. Now, not all problems are going to use this vocabulary, but some will, and they're just doing that to help you draw the picture. Other times, you just have to think about what it means to move something in that direction or to have something that length. And then we'll get through that when we go through the examples. Okay. First problem says, a boat is pulled in by a winch 12 feet above the deck of the boat. When the winch is fully extended to 25 feet, what is the angle of elevation from the deck of the boat to the winch? Now, do you notice that on this one they kind of drew the picture for you?
Indeed.
I call this a fake word problem because they gave you the picture. The only thing that they didn't put on there was the angle of elevation because they drew this triangle right here. In all technicality, they also didn't put the right angle in, but can you tell where the right angle is going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not tricking you on these. They are right triangles. Which angle is the angle of elevation? The top acute angle or the bottom acute angle?
Bottom.
Elevation, horizontal, upwards. It's the one on the bottom. Now, it's saying, what is that angle? If we don't know something, what do we put? X. So I put an X right there. Now, it might be easier to have this separate from all the things in the picture, so I'm going to redraw it. You don't have to if you don't want to. That's 12, that's 25. If I'm trying to solve for an angle, I'm going to use either the fact that angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees, or I'm going to use trig. Can I use the angles adding up to 180? No, because I only know one other angle. So I'm going to use trig. My angle of focus is going to be the one I'm looking at.
X.
Which makes 12 what side?
Opposite.
Opposite. Makes 25 what side?
Height.
Hypotenuse. So, opposite and hypotenuse is in sine. Immediately following trig is always the angle. In this case, we don't know it, so it's x equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. 12 divided by 15.
25.
Where's 25 coming from?
Hypotenuse.
Oh, got it. Good eye. My bad. Wrote the wrong number. Valid. Okay. How do I get at x?
We're going to use the inverse of trig.
Inverse of which trig ratio? Sine inverse. And the variables here, we use inverse trig. Both signs cancel out. I'm left with x equals sine inverse. 12/25. To figure that out, I type it into a calculator. What am I rounding to?
We're going to
Read the instructions.
the
Hundredths. It doesn't specify to round it to the nearest degree if it's an angle. Pay attention to your instructions. It might change from this to the homework to the test to the quiz. All those things might change. Read the instructions. Rounding to the nearest hundredth, 28.69. And the unit that goes on that? Degrees, because it's an angle. In a word problem, you do need to make sure you're putting units. If you know the units, put the units. 99% of the time, you're going to know the units. Okay. Now, again, we're not going to actually solve all of these. Most of them we're going to set up. There's just a couple of them I'm going to solve just to kind of bring some things together, bring some things back.
Wait, we don't need to find the angle of elevation.
On that one? Yep. A word problem is never going to be solve the triangle. It's never going to ask for all the things. It might ask for 2 things occasionally, but most of the time it's only asking for 1. Okay, next problem. A surveyor is standing 30 feet from the base of a tall building. The surveyor measures an angle of elevation from the ground to the top of the building to be 65 degrees. Find the height of the building. And they tell you to use H for that, by the way. Okay. Do you notice it's got this keywords angle of elevation? When it's got the keywords of angle of elevation, you are going to draw an angle of elevation triangle. In other words, a triangle that looks like one of those 2. So, I draw that kind of a triangle, keeping in mind that the angle of elevation is right here. Do we know the angle of elevation?
Yeah.
65 degrees. Okay, so I put my 65 degrees there. Now I have to figure out where the other things go. A surveyor stands 30 feet from the base of a tall building. We are trying to measure the height of the building. Now, when you think about buildings, Do buildings stand horizontally
No.
at angles or vertically?
Vertically.
Vertically. That's the building. That's the building's height, which means that is the
H.
H. Now, if the surveyor is looking at the building, where is he standing? 30 feet away on the ground. Right here. Here's where the dude is. 30 feet away. When you measure 30 feet away from something, do you measure at an angle or straight across?
We're gonna measure straight across.
Generally straight across unless you're told otherwise. Angles add up to 180. Does that help me solve for H?
No.
No. Pythagorean theorem connects three sides of a right triangle. Does that help me solve for H?
No.
Trig.
Yup.
Angle of focus is
65.
65. It's always the acute angle that you know or want to know. Making H the opposite, because I'm going across to get to it. 30 is the
Adjacent.
what trig ratio?
Oh, tangent.
Tangent, because if I'm using SOHCAHTOA, I've got O and A. O and A show up in the TOA, and T stands for tangent. Tangent of
65.
the angle equals
H over 30.
H over 30. If I want to solve something like this, how do I solve it?
You're gonna times by 30.
Variables in the fraction, multiply by the denominator. In this case, that's 30. Do I multiply the 30 and the 65?
No. No.
No. You just put the 30 in front of the tangent of the 65. 30, tan, 65.
In front, or does it matter which? Oh wait, it matters
Technically, it should be put in front, honestly, especially on the TIs where you have to close the parentheses. If you put it out back, it's not the end of the world.
Okay, will it matter on the test if you read it?
If you write it in the opposite place, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, rounding to the nearest hundredth, H is 64.34. It's a word problem. What are we measuring that height in? Feet. Previous measurement was feet. This one's feet. You have to have the same units in your triangles. If you don't have the same units, you got problems. At least on side legs, they're all the same units. Angles are all degrees. Okay. Louisa is in a hot air balloon 50 feet above the ground. She sees a landing spot at an angle of depression. Ooh, keyword.
Depression.
Of 34 degrees. What is the horizontal distance she needs to travel in order to land on the landing spot? Angle of depression triangles have horizontals that go downwards. The angle of depression, is it the left one or the right one?
Should be the left one.
Left. Angles of depression and elevation are always next to the horizontal. That was 34 degrees. Okay. What is the horizontal distance is what we're measuring. Which side's the horizontal one? The top one. Horizontal. The hot air balloon is 30 feet above the ground. Do you measure above at an angle or vertically?
Vertically.
Angles add up to 180. Helpful?
No. But yeah. Yeah.
Are we looking for an angle?
No.
Not helpful. Pythagorean theorem connects the sides.
Not. Trig.
Not helpful. Trig. There's my angle of focus. 30 is the
30 is the opposite.
X is the
Adjacent.
adjacent. SOHCAHTOA. Opposite and adjacent is tangent. It's the TOA piece. Tangent of 34 equals 30 over x. Okay, this is going to be one of the last ones we fully solve because this one solves a little bit differently, and I'm emphasizing trying to get all of those different solving types in this section. If I want to get x alone, Where do I start?
Can we multiply x out of
Multiply
it?
by x. When the variable's in the fraction, you multiply by the bottom of the fraction. When I do that, is x alone though? No, x is getting multiplied by tangent of 34, so I'm not done yet. But it's being multiplied by something. To undo multiply, divide. X is equal to whatever 30 divided by tangent of 34 is. X is 44.48 units. Feet. It's a length, and we measured length in feet on this one. Okay. As we continue to move forward, I won't necessarily solve all of them. Okay, you are skiing down a mountain. The vertical distance down the mountain is 1,200 feet. You are traveling at an angle of depression, keyword, of 21 degrees. How far do you travel down the mountain? Okay, angle of depression, horizontal, down. There's my right triangle. Angle of depression is the one next to the horizontal. That's the 21 degrees. The vertical distance is 1,200. Which side's vertical?
The right one.
One on the right, the up and down. That's vertical. How far will you travel down the mountain? When you're going and skiing down a mountain, are you going horizontally or at an angle?
We're going to be going at an angle.
You're going at an angle. That's the distance you're looking for. Angles of triangle add up to 180. Helpful here? No. Pythagorean theorem connects three sides. Helpful here? No, I only know one side. Third option.
Trigonometry.
Trigonometry. There's my angle. 1,200 is the opposite. X is the hypotenuse. It's across from the right angle. Opposite and hypotenuse. Sine. Sine of 21 equals
1,200 over x.
1,200 over x. Okay. At this point, we would then go through and solve it. Y'all are capable of solving. ... X would be equal to 3,348.51 feet. Oh, there's a lot of feet in the notes. It's not always feet. Okay, got our last page.
All right.
Yeah. When the math itself isn't brand new, the notes go pretty quick. Firefighters use a ladder to enter a window of a burning building. The ladder is 24 feet long and the window is 22 feet above the ground. Find the angle of elevation. AJ. Angle of elevation. So, I need a horizontal and upwards. That's my angle of elevation. Find the angle of elevation, meaning I don't know it. X. It is a 24-foot long ladder and the window is 22 feet off the ground. Let's start with the window because that's going to be the easier one. When you measure how far something is off the ground, do you measure horizontally, vertically, or at an angle? Vertically. Do you lay ladders on the ground to get into windows or at an angle?
At an angle.
At an angle. Angles add up to 180. Is that helpful? No. Pythagorean theorem connects the three side lengths. I'm not solving for a side length. That's not helpful. It'd be helpful if I was looking for this, but be careful. Far too often I see people see two sides and do Pythagorean theorem. helpful only if you're looking for a side. Third option, trig. There's my angle. That is the opposite because it's across. Which side's 24? Hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. Opposite and hypotenuse. So, katoa.
It's sine.
It is sine. Sine of x, the angle, equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. We would then solve. Y'all know how to solve. You would end up getting x equals 66.44 units.
Feet.
No.
Feet.
No. Degrees. It's an angle. Angles are always degrees. A 10-foot ramp travels of. I don't know why the of is there. A 10-foot ramp travels a horizontal distance of 9.8 feet. How high is the ramp? I don't see angle of elevation or angle of depression, so I actually have to think about what this looks like. What do ramps look like?
I think it would be like
Ramps are things to help you get from one elevation to a new elevation at an angle. That's the 10-foot ramp. It travels a horizontal distance of 9.8 feet. Now, I don't want to go this way. That doesn't help me make a triangle, at least not a right triangle. I want to go this way because I'm always trying to make a right triangle. The horizontal is the 9.8. How high is the ramp? I'm looking for the vertical, which means I heard someone say it. I'm using what?
Pythagorean.
Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. I'm picky about which of those spots. The c has to be the hypotenuse. Which side's the hypotenuse?
10.
So the other two I don't care. 9.8 squared plus x squared equals 10 squared. Remember, as you're going through and solving, you square first. Then depending, why did I type it into my calculator? Depending on if the numbers are together or if they're apart, you either add or subtract. In this case, they're separated by the equal sign, so you subtract. To get rid of a squared, I take a square root. 1.99 units.
Feet.
It's the side length, and the side lengths here were measured in feet. Be careful, it's not always feet. I don't know why our notes is all feet. Every single problem's in feet. Okay, final problem.
Right.
You measure your distance from a tree and find that you are 30 feet from it. The angle of elevation. Horizontal what way? Up. We're above the horizontal. Angle of elevation is always next to the horizontal. Okay, that angle of elevation from the ground to the top of the tree is 59 degrees. Find the height of the tree. You're standing 30 feet from the tree. Do you measure that vertically, horizontally, or at an angle?
Horizontal.
Horizontally. Your distance from something you measure horizontally. The height of the tree? At an angle or vertically?
Vertical.
Vertically. We generally assume, unless you are told something is the Leaning Tower of Pisa, that generally when we talk about things standing, they're standing vertically. Trees stand vertically. Buildings stand vertically. People stand vertically. Pythagorean theorem, trig, or angles adding up to 180? Trig. There's my angle. X is the opposite. 30 is the adjacent. Tangent of 59 degrees is equal to x over 30. Dot, dot, dot. At this point, we should know how to solve that.
Indeed.
And we get 49.93 feet. It's word problems. I know it's not your favorite, but is it really all that different mathematically? No. Same stuff. Chapter 9 is a very worksheet heavy chapter.
All right.
Just as a heads up, chapter 12 is going to be more book assignments. Okay. It's coming up on Friday. Test. Anyone wondering what you get to use? Because I haven't
Yes.
given you a postulate sheet.
Yes, it says ask me what you can use on your test.
It does say, because otherwise I was going to forget. Possibly, anyway. Okay. On the chapter 9 test, you get to make a 3-inch by 5-inch note card, both sides, handwritten. You can write on it whatever you feel is necessary for this chapter. Because here's the thing. This chapter, let's think about what we started with. Squaring binomials and distribution. And simplifying square roots. I'll be honest with you. Yes, you should know how to distribute. That is not new. But simplifying square roots isn't on the test. We went to Pythagorean theorem. Haven't we used Pythagorean theorem a lot lately?
Yes, indeed.
Do you probably know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared by now?
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, if you want to write it on the note card, you can. Determine if a triangle is possible. Okay. Determine what kind of triangle is it, right? Acute or obtuse. So the first section was a little bit jam-packed. Then we got to special right triangles. Have you noticed we haven't done this in a while?
Yeah.
If you know Pythagorean theorem and you know trigonometry, you don't have to do this stuff.
Right.
There are special right triangles on the test technically, but Pythagorean theorem and trig take care of both of these. So if you're good with Pythagorean theorem and trig, you don't need anything from this section. Because all the instructions are going to say round. It's the only time where we'd necessarily need that. Similar right triangles. Okay, so that's something different again. And then after that, there's trig, there's trig, there's trig, there's trig.
Or trig.
Pythagorean theorem, trig. Are triangles possible? What kind of triangles are they? And similar right triangles.
5 days.
Those are the 5 things on the test. Now, each of those has a little bit of depth to them. I get that. But it's not something that's postulate sheet worthy, and you get to write down what it is that you feel is necessary for you. So, note cards, I'm leaving them up here. You don't have to grab one today. If you want to grab one today, you can. If you want to grab one tomorrow when we're doing the review, that's perfectly fine with me too. But yeah, that's what's coming up.
Excuse me, Sophia. Thank you.
I do plan to show you guys your quizzes from yesterday here in a couple minutes. So I do have them graded. They're just not in the grade book. I do plan to show them to you.
Listen, I'm probably 100% fit.
Are we getting on this quiz? 100.
Ben, what are you getting on this quiz right now? 10?
AJ, the
I'm picky with my
Calculator and notes.
Yeah, that's right there. Very.
I have no issue with them as long as they don't have an issue with me.
I don't plan to talk about it because overall, the only real things that I needed, I wrote on.
Yeah, I have no issue with them as long as they don't have an issue with me. See, like Officer Galvin, like, we literally have a picture from Columbus bus and we put it in the car with the lights on.
Wait, Jacob, you volunteered to share something. How do I volunteer there? How do I volunteer there? And we're gonna be at the gym this year. I'll be with you. You have a uniform?
I'm gonna be staying there the whole time because the job there gives me anxiety. Have you seen half of the cops, bro? You're forgetting they like donuts and coffee. Is that even true?
Well, they could just go upstairs to the break room. Meetings are after sheriff's office every Sunday. We can just go home and oh, hey, AJ. No. From an airplane at an altitude of 1,200 meters, the angle. Oh, that's pretty easy, bro. You'd find this one, 28.
Diego, can you pick up that?
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm recording.
It's by your foot. It's by your foot. It's by your foot.
If you take stuff, I guess it's green clock.
I will say, we do have quizzes.
It's by your foot.
Find the horizontal plane the buildings. We need to find that.
Oh, you're in the one down there?
I just.
What about the donut?
You waited right there.
Chicken tacos.
I
I don't know, but they need to keep doing, they need to stop doing this. Putting both words together. They need to stop doing that. Because everybody wants this, but everybody wants that too. It's just like when they did that last week with the
Popcornopolis.
so much. It's so good, but it's broken. I have to come in right
Over here.
I'm not even joking. My mom.
Looks like $300.
Or
No, it's
popcornopolis.com.
68.
Yeah,
Under insurance.
Or where did you go to? I would regret it.
No, that's the plastic. It's the plastic. They're 250.
No, stupid.
Altitude. So if you break or lose both of them, you have to pay $500 to get them.
Like, are you gonna lose to a guy that has to take tutoring lessons?
Yeah. Only reason I know that is because I keep reminding myself so I don't, break.
Right, good asking everyone.
Altitude of 1,200 meters. So altitude, that's gonna be 1,200. Oh, it's 100 later. It's not great. Wait, how do I know which angle to put this one in? The 28.
Maybe should I ask you?
28 goes right here in this angle.
You.
Find the distance between the plate and the building.
Jacob.
What the heck is that?
It's hockey, yeah. And that's the thing you found out. That's pretty good.
It's like that.
A little stale.
No.
Just a tad. Just a tad. So 6 feet. Sweet and spicy.
Oh yeah, especially after he hit the bus.
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah, he hit a bus. The whole side of his car is like weighted down or whatever. And he hit, and he's missing the entire back part of his mirror. So it's just literally the glass part.
Yeah, but I want to give him how it is, but I want some nice.
Yeah, you want it to be loud like his, but not sound like his.
I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah.
So I
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So I'm going down here.
That's where Papa
So
Palmer.
Hold on, like I'm doing one now.
Palmer's business.
Yep.
if it's making
That's where I'm gonna go.
I got two never actually met Papa Palmer before.
Papa Palmer is so funny.
0.7. It doesn't say how much.
We don't know what the high part is.
It's just feet. Oh, meters.
Okay, so
How are you supposed to round it? We're just gonna round
Okay, so trigonometry. So we got so and so. Yeah, opposite and adjacent. That's
It
tangent.
doesn't say we're supposed to round it.
There we go.
So you're not.
Why you not know
So
the
10 on 28 equals.
Why you not know the first
Adjacent.
you not know the first
Equals 1200 over x multiplied by
Well,
x.
building.
Wait, it's 10 plus 10 is random. Yeah.
The altitude. A plane flies this way, so it'd be the top one, right?
1200 divided by
Yeah, it's altitude.
This would be the building, though. Wouldn't that be the
divided
building?
by 10.
What's the horizontal distance between the building and the plane? The altitude wouldn't.
but you needed a little more. It's too late at that.
I don't think that's right. Ew, would you like a piece of That's shaped like a dog.
1200 divided by.
Oh my god, I feel so bad for just
Just move. Over.
Shut up. You doing it? No, you're wrong.
Just over to my way.
Nope.
Yeah, that's not great, but this
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, I know he did.
Yeah.
Because Trevor said you're all
Okay. Sorry, I'm coming. I'm slow. I know.
Let you solve these.
Anyway, I put that because my problem is really good.
Okay, so tell me what I can do.
Yeah, it's one of the few times it's ever
Okay,
had.
so this is opposite because it's rational.
I know how to
I'd say
freaking
it's
So
do
would
this.
this one be where the building goes and this is where the altitude goes?
Yo, I kind of understand this
It's
stuff.
wait a second. Okay. From an airplane at an altitude. Altitude is height.
So you do.
Okay, so
That's
that's
1200.
Come test it.
Yes.
Essential energy.
Distance between, so distance from plane to building is
Body
1200.
fat.
I'm dying.
Yo, it's
Oh my
my
gosh,
God.
we all.
Yes.
We all formatted this wrong, by the way, guys. No, we
The
didn't.
top.
You read it right.
Yeah, you did it right.
I did it right.
Yeah, you did it right.
Oh, let me see the back.
And if Diego copied after me like he's really
No.
good at,
Mm-mm.
then
I actually did this. I'm
No,
part of their head.
no, yeah, he
Jacob.
got this one.
So you do.
I'm looking at you long.
Triangle.
Tangent.
Yeah. In hindsight, I think I need to change the first problem because the first problem is one of the more confusing ones.
Either just round to the nearest.
Divided by.
Does it not specify?
Nope, doesn't say.
Yeah, just round to the nearest hundred.
Okay.
Wait.
Just write down the wrong thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna feed you.
what are you doing? What are you confused?
I did.
Hey,
Why did you round it to 1?
Oh, because I have to bring this. I have to bring this over here. So x
On tomorrow,
tangent 28.
but
Yeah,
I got
there's 1200, right?
29 of the
Yeah. Then divide by tangent. Yeah, but I don't put an x in here,
Yeah.
right? No, you don't. So I don't have to do anything with that. Okay, no. So now you have to get x by so you divide by the tangent of 28. So you divide both sides by the tangent of 28.
Yep.
That means you just have some practice.
Okay. I forgot to mention something weird about angle of depression.
Open wide.
Angle of depression always sets up a triangle mirror. In all technicalities,
bit more.
Yeah.
when we
Oh
are
my
looking
God.
at this, yeah, we're thinking about this being the base. And it's got this
It's getting
kind of-
everywhere. I got 2256.
Don't worry, guys, I'm
It's
almost
a
done.
weird thing about angle of depression.
12,
It does
100.
bases of
Divided by
things
tangent of 28.
up top.
That's what I got.
Where did you
put
get
12 on
1200
that.
divided? Where did you get the division?
I mean, but I'm gonna actually.
That is not right.
Or to yards, doesn't matter which one you convert to,
Okay,
but you
so-
get them to be the same unit.
That is not right. You
It's
can't.
it is wrong.
Why would you divide?
Because you have to get x by itself.
There's no one in here in there. 3 feet in
Let's
one
bring Miss
yard.
Benson over
So
here.
if you take the
Diego,
yards
why did
and
you get to the
multiply it
first
by
one?
3, that'll give you the number of
2256.
feet, or divide that one.
Just for clarification.
Because
So we have
angle of elevation.
tangent with 28,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have 1200 over x.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you multiply by x?
Yes, which is what you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you divide, which is what you did. You did it beautifully.
Yeah.
12
I was
is,
confused on where you were, because you never said anything about the multiplication part. You only said the divide part. I was like, what are you
Oh,
talking
he was a
about?
step ahead. He was a step
It's like,
ahead.
what
Yeah,
are you
but Jesus.
talking about?
Okay, Michael Pagansky gave me these pants, and Michael gave me
I got x
which is not
equals
telling me.
19.
Why'd you say his last name?
Mr. Pagansky.
Yeah.
I've always want to call him
Say that.
Michael Pagansky.
Nobody calls him that. It's always Mikhail.
Do we have to solve these?
Yeah. He gets a little pressed.
Not the
when
full
you say
triangle,
that
but you have to solve for the variable.
Mike? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he gets a little
He
pressed with that.
took my phone and put his contact in.
Hey. I do plan to hand out your quizzes. Not everyone in here has taken it. In fact, there's some people in here taking it right this second. So please don't be showing everyone your quiz.
Changes 58.
I didn't take that one home.
Oh,
I promise I won't do it again, Miss Benson.
Better not.
You get
I would- I-
15.92.
We already did it.
So I was in my folder for my assignment to this man. I opened it, I was like,
Oh.
oh, so here's the paper. I was like, no, I'm not supposed to have this. I'm not supposed to have this.
Yes! Supposed to be below.
Can I? Guys, I'm gonna get 100.
No, you're
I
not.
forgot to stop it.
I know I screwed up.
So I like,
You're the reason no one's been able to use a pass. Got it.
I think it's
What
their
do you
fault.
use this for the x? For the x? Top? What's the base? Is the base object from the base? I think x. Would it be? I think it'd be the.
Somebody parked Mackenzie's spot.
Oh my goodness! Wow! I didn't know there's reserved
Here.
spots in the parking lot.
We've been in the same spot since last
see.
year and this year.
8 out of 13!
Okay.
Hey, dummy up! Just, no. Oh, it did him.
Gavin.
That's not me.
Jacob.
Your hands are wet.
This has been our diet.
Let's go!
What the heck? Hey, I did better than Diego though, so
Shut up.
5.5.
I don't have anything specific I want to talk about. When you're done, put the quizzes up here.
I thought I did go to the 10,000. You went to
Hey, you wanna
the
put that up for me?
From the top
Hey,
of
out there.
the vertical cliff.
Hey, you want to put that stars? Thank you.
Yeah, is that another 10,000?
Is that going to the axis? I forgot to mention this.
Yeah, and then you round it.
Talk to the class real quick. Okay, hey y'all. When it comes to angle of depression, I forgot to mention something. Angles of depression are a little bit weird in how they reference things at times. If they talk about distance from the base of something, while in all technicality they want this distance right there, this and this are congruent. When it talks about distance from base on an angle of depression triangle, the base is up top. Did that answer your question, AJ?
Indeed.
Okay.
With a 65 meter string, okay? That means that the kid's right here. String is 65 meters.
And the string connects from the person to the kite.
And the person is at the angle of elevation.
Person is at the angle of elevation.
Oh,
The
so-
kite is over there,
so
so
that
it's
means
the
that-
it's the hypotenuse.
This
that's
one, okay.
65.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm glad to see we both got that one.
X is equal.
But we got completely different answers.
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Beautiful work.
Horizontal
We're so smart, Jacob.
Well, I think you can find it. Well, it's gonna be an angle. So we have an angle.
And I for some reason can't do
Oh,
that.
How did you get from what did you get? Between the man and the kite is 80. How I am? Oh, you can just use the
I actually didn't wear it. I have it in my bag.
Zero figures.
I have a different one. It's just the admin fell off, so I had to find a square.
Do not.
I need to find the admin that fell off.
Oh, so it just like squirts up, that's it?
Don't. Jacob, slow down.
No. The thing that actually
One
tears up.
second.
Now you sound like you just don't go up the
It's gonna smell all day.
and then that's not gonna go away.
Yeah, well, you just gotta make a concoction out of laundry cleaning supplies.
I mean, like I want to use my admin.
No, don't. When you put it back on, it's gonna go.
No, cause like this thing's stopping. See this thing?
This one's a little.
Yeah, it didn't stop Jacob from getting squirted on.
I got 55.7
It's time to apply it.
Yeah, we only got 5
No.
We finished those 5 and then stay on 10 minutes.
Stop, get it back.
Let's get it done.
Don't.
What did you,
I don't wanna smell like a man.
Oh, and then it asks.
No, it's not.
No.
I don't wanna smell like a man.
Yeah, I got
What?
it.
You don't smell good.
Smells like baby powder.
It's weird. It doesn't smell like.
That legit smells like baby powder.
Oh, like, you guys, like, test day is not the last.
120 is doing fine bottom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty sure that is
That legit smells like baby powder.
Now, I'm not saying you have to do this. Another option if you want to take them.
I don't like it. You smell like baby powder.
So that's opposite, that's adjacent.
That's
So
just smell of
tangent
option.
X.
No, it smells so bad.
Multiply by 65.
It's over 65. Yep. So, wait,
It's
so
absolutely,
O and
technically it's the
H, so
distance
H.
from the
X is
base
over
of the
sine.
mountain. Technically the
Sine.
base of the mountain's down here.
So sine
So, in other words, yeah, that.
70 degrees equals
65 cancel out.
Or are you just not going to?
65.
Oh, yeah.
Sine 70.
If it smells like baby powder, it's those two.
No.
Tom uses
Yeah, don't spray things in here.
I didn't.
I don't know who did, someone did.
Not me.
It smells good.
Did you get 61.08?
It smells like baby powder.
Yeah.
You did it wrong.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Ocean.
Yep.
John, bottom one hand.
So the angle of the question is that. So that if you go to 13 feet from the
Tomorrow is
I'm only standing
Hey Gavin, you excited for help today?
Who do you have for hope?
Did you?
Oh, y'all are gonna have so much fun looking at his freaking paperwork that he got from the hospital when having a
You
kid.
should tell Jacob about that.
So if you want to just.
It's literally,
We take that to our grades,
terrible.
AJ. We take that to our grades.
Terrible.
Because it all
And then you have to,
what's going
and then
on.
you have to do like this worksheet about like health insurance and how much you have to pay if you went to the ER. And you had this insurance or that insurance. Like,
Yesterday we just did the took care of your
yeah.
So we're almost.
You like kind of so.
Oh, so that means we're ahead of you.
I
Okay,
call
look,
one of your
look. Ew, that means you're watching a video then. This is dumb TED Talk.
I did have a rock
So then you are caught up
The
with
weird
us.
thing about it.
We don't know insurance stuff yet though.
Yeah, because we're just getting started on that today.
it's my question.
First
Tell me
hour.
the
Oh, yeah,
points you get from two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I right away in the morning. It makes me want to kill myself every day. It's only somewhat bearable because I eat
Yeah, okay, it was some of the between 200. This was not a
That's big.
This don't make me say anything.
No.
No. You can legit get ISS for that.
Didn't somebody get ISS in like 7th grade?
Yeah.
So you could smell it with the whole school. I remember
It's
that.
so bad. It was so bad because she sprayed so much and then she sprayed it on somebody.
Who?
I cannot. That is classified
Disclose it.
information.
Oh, that's gonna be.
No, it wasn't Maddie. Tell you that.
I got 17.
Nobody can right now. She's in treatment for a year. Why this time? I have no idea. That's all I've
Guys, I
heard.
was talking to Brandon. Let me see your question.
Yeah, we gotta finish 9 and 10 so
Our worksheets are not faced. No, okay, I can do this. I'm smart. I taught you something.
Did I get everyone's quiz back?
Si, senora.
Yeah, it was good.
Did you? Oh.
Ben, did you put your quiz in this file?
Yes, I took
Yeah, I
your quiz
saw
and
Ben
put it
doing
in
I
there.
have
Who goes
Okay.
to out now? I'm confused.
Is this
Oh, hey, I'm right here.
Okay, so
I think it's
from a point on the ground, 12 feet from the base of the flagpole, so that's like that's the vertical straight
Are
up.
we
No,
just
but
not
it
gonna
has
talk
to
about the
be
bed
one-
thing that you just
No,
said?
oh yeah, that's
That thing
big.
is horrible drug.
Really?
It's a horrible
Oh, you
drug
need to learn
taking.
about how they use it in the hospital a little bit today too.
How long is that?
Yeah, they freaking gave
So
her
the
the
leg
leg
would be-
broke her arm.
Yeah, Mr. Hilly's wife got it like 3 different times.
No, fentanyl is a deadly drug taken outside.
A hospital? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Benson, so it says from the point on the ground, so the base, 12 feet from the base of the flagpole, that's like straight up vertical, right?
That, yeah.
Base of ground to base of flagpole.
Oh, so that's this one.
That's the horizontal.
Yes.
Me calling the horizontal.
Okay, so we need to find
hypotenuse,
the
not
vertical.
hypotenuse, the horizontal. Yeah. Sounds smart.
So how are we gonna do that? Trig.
We have adjacent and opposite.
But yeah, no.
1 second, put it.
She randomly
Adjacent
unadded me
and
on
opposite.
Snap.
Yeah, look.
Out of some chat rooms, she unadded me on
Oh,
Snap,
that
and
is
then
like-
literally a few days later,
You
I
did
found out
opposite
she
to
went
me.
back to
Yes,
Snap.
that's actually there.
That's also flagpole from the near.
Of 53.
And it just kind of sucks because when she went back
Over
to
50.
treatment the last time, she was just like,
What?
I'm not
Yeah,
doing
it's
this
literally.
What?
She was
It
clean.
has 2 angles of depression. What the sigma?
Or equation. A and B are the numbers I give you.
I think it's.
So you put 98 in
What
one
is
of them.
it? I think
When
it's
she
solved.
gets out, she's probably going to get removed with piercing because her mom sent her off to treatment for a whole year because she doesn't want to deal with.
And then did you take the
And
square
I
root?
think it's the same.
That's the other one.
So she's either removing with piercing
That
or
actually
Well,
she
it's the same
You
height.
prefer to do that.
Angle of depression of 5.
she's either going to move in with piercing
What
or
is
get
the distance
emancipated
between the
after
two?
she gets
Then I
out.
think, no, then you solve them both. And then
Broncos
watch it
The
out.
ratio is literally just right out the fraction.
I doubt this one's gonna be on the. Why would we use it?
15.9. Did you do it right, Jacob?
Yeah,
Side of X.
she's my best friend.
So I use this.
And then she cost me
Sine
side
is
and
opposite divided by hypotenuse. Now, note this one changed to z, so now
I just wait to do my math.
this is opposite, and then that's.
Because I never have to do it. I don't have it.
That is the 7? Okay.
Hello.
Guess who's on number 10? This guy.
Actually, you're touching a dub right now, technically.
Caffeine.
Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay. So that would be.
It's still a type of rounding.
It is.
I guess.
It is technically.
I saw this as part of this.
I can say I haven't touched
Okay, so
a drug that is illegal for me being under the age of 21. Or illegal in general.
So that's where your issue
I don't-
is.
yeah,
Now,
I don't-
this does include that.
I can't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I write it quickly and
Yeah.
I'm stealing points for no reason.
It's not worth it, but get it.
I'm guessing you just solve both alone.
You know how many times my sister's offered me?
So this can be X, this can also
It's
be
your
X.
sister's date.
So what is this? So it's like
off on the college.
Yeah. So why did
Oh, she's not. She was like a registrar. She is big as no.
My sister's like, you're
Well,
5.
I'm gonna finish right here because it would bother me
Like,
that
my sister's 5'4", maybe
the
like
way that
150
this
pounds.
works is
From
technically
the
it's just
top
both
of a
sides, but
vertical
the way to
cliff.
remember
So
it,
she weighs as much as
first letter
this.
divided, or sorry, second letter divided by
She's
third letter.
Yeah.
Always that
Oh,
order.
she's a bridge.
No, she's got like a light switch. Someday she was like a bridge troll other day. She got like a light switch.
She looks like a bridge troll every day.
Wait, who's your sister now? I wanna know.
Arlene Fargo.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Arlene?
No,
Okay.
she's mean. She doesn't buy me
Don't
McDonald's.
be rude. You said that as if like, really, that's her name?
She
It's
doesn't
just
buy me
kind of
McDonald's.
old.
We have a question.
I don't wanna hear it. My sister chased me around the
So,
house with knives and plastic
That is like the two
spatulas.
triangles.
My
and then
sister
solve
used
them
to
separately and
use
then
that.
compare the two answers.
And then you
That's it?
subtract.
That's all.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yep.
Oh.
AJ, can I see your number 4?
Kevin knows his more.
me wanted my older sister. AJ, can I see number 4? One.
So do I do
Hey, AJ.
sign
Hey, AJ, I need some help.
or
What do you want?
Like inverse the sign.
From the top of a vertical
Have
cliff.
you had a hardcover book this big chucked
Well, I
at your
didn't check
head?
all of this.
No,
Let
I
me just
checked
double
that
check
something
real
like
quick
this,
just to
they
make
had-
sure. Yeah, no, you're sitting good.
Oh, like one of those horror.
That's it?
Multiplies.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't wanna.
then I would want to
So you know
divide.
the rise that happened.
Correct. You do inverse
Yeah.
trig when X has
Trade
trig being done to it. So in other words, the X is here. That's when you do inverse trig.
Ew. That sounds like something my sister would do. That really does sound something like my sister would do.
Not as important, by the way, but the answers to the review, which I'm handing out tomorrow.
I think the worst thing my sister has ever done is me down and let this spit just come out of her mouth.
I just wanted to let you know. As much as
The
this
spit
probably
fall
is
out of her
enjoying
mouth and
the
then
massage, you should be working
landed on my
some math.
forehead. And then
That's
she
a lot
also
of work,
locked me
though.
in my bedroom with a charging cable for 2 hours.
I'm doing mine now.
So from the top of Brooklyn, 40 meters high.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
With an angle
Oh,
of
wait, no.
depression.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was forgetting.
Ah.
I got the 40 meters high.
Did you at least get 32.92?
Now, angle of depression is always a little bit weird. It's one of those situations where things are at a place that you wouldn't like they are. In fact, like, for example, like, technically, the quiz
That's
right
the
here,
opposite.
this is the
387
first
was the-
thing
is the
and
op-
they are the ones giving an
opposite.
angle of depression,
And that's
looking
the
down at this
exchange.
object. We technically want this distance here.
Isn't it out?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that distance is for your indicator.
Shut up.
That's what we're trying to find.
Read you.
Thank you.
Oh, hey, another question about rounding. So when it says round to the nearest hundredth, if I'm taking like this one and rounding up this number, okay, that cover it?
Yeah, because
Here's
the
what I got for
nine
the first one.
Yeah.
rounds the nine, up, then nine ends up
3, 3, 8,
pushing into the next one, so it ends up being
5,
6
4,
point.
Right?
Equal.
Oh, let's say it wasn't
What did
like
you get
that,
for
though,
the
it was like,
3, 8.
No,
like,
What?
that's not what I got.
Well, this one's like a 2.
Tangent of 9.
It would, if the third one wasn't a 2, it wouldn't round, it would stay at 6.2.
Oh my god.
Essentially, the easiest way to think of it is think about all the numbers in a decimal
Yeah.
place just as a number. Think of it as 29.
It was-
That number is bigger than 5, 29 increased by 1 is 30.
Well, that's a different story.
If that's less than 1,
I
then
got
it
2,
doesn't
4,
increase,
4,
it stays
3,
29.
my card.
Okay.
Wait, 2.
Is that a bird? Oh my god, there's a bird! Look at it, guys.
Es un pájaro. A mí me gustan los
It's
pájaros.
almost like you've never seen a bird before.
Not right there, not that close.
Yeah, they make nests in those.
Sí.
Wow.
¿Tú recuerdas cuando
Yeah.
los pájaros
Nobody knows what you're saying.
I know.
Do you remember?
do you remember?
I don't. Is that
Cuando los pájaros,
when the I don't know what
when the
When the
birds,
birds.
los pájaros,
Estaban atrapados.
sí, no, sí,
Los sacamos.
no, haz un nest en su patio. Sí. Debajo de.
Pero hacen eso todos los años.
Debajo.
Under.
I know, but they made it under the.
Yeah, I have.
Under the patio?
A deck.
Oh, you've got like a raised one.
Yeah.
Got it,
Or
got it.
patio.
I'm like, I'm thinking about one that's on the ground. I'm like, how'd they make it under? If I think about a raised one, it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
And like there's bars that hold it up. It's like perfect.
Yeah, they made it underneath there.
And every single year there's always blue eggs right there. And you can see it
Little
through the
birds,
cracks.
little robins.
They were talking
Yeah.
about birds.
See,
En español.
Yeah, I don't know Spanish.
you know.
We're Spanish 3.
I can count to 13 and say like 2 colors.
What can we come to?
I just know
What number have we gone up to? Gone up to
Oh, that's
what?
nice.
You guys,
We've gone up to a
like
mil.
1,000. I can
We-
count.
we've
So
gone
I
up
gotta
to
work
a
with the
mil.
Jews.
Do you know what 1,000 is in Spanish?
Mil.
No.
No, that's
cien.
100.
No. Mil.
How do you
and then
expect a
it's,
bird to walk, Jacob?
100 mil. No, 10 mil, 100 mil, millón. And then 10 millones,
That is 1,000.
100 millones, un billón. Yeah.
Did not know those. I didn't know a million either.
I'm forced to speak Spanish at home.
Wait, so a man plus height.
Unless I have French over. That's the only exception.
The horizontal distance between the man
Yep.
okay, is 82 feet. So
Okay,
that's
well,
about.
speak English when I'm over.
It's like nap time.
What do you have?
Dude, it's an angle of depression. Why are you writing an elevation triangle? Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong side. I'm looking at the wrong side. You do the math. Ignore me. I'm thinking you're on the back side. You're not.
Because I'm on 100 and there's 108.
Oh wait, sorry, I already remembered. Only one.
Oh, I could just do the hypotenuse.
Four.
Oh wait.
What's the hypotenuse there?
Two.
The hypotenuse?
No, it's not 44.
The Pythagorean theorem.
So same idea applies, but you're looking at this number.
So
Is that
the x
this?
squared
No,
plus
it's 51 space
82
51.
3x squared equals 100.
You get 19800.
Hate to tell you, but that's wrong. That's yards. That's feet. Need to say unit. You gotta convert one.
It is 3 minutes before we have to leave.
Yes, it's just a matter of where you put the angles and sides. It's still
I'm
gonna be
ahead.
dot.
I'm ahead. Wait, what's 60 divided by 3?
Jacob,
60 divided by 3
Yeah,
is 20.
it's like
20.
Three x squared
Here.
okay,
Here.
Five.
The triangle goes downwards from the horizontal. Angle of elevation. Here's the angle of elevation.
You are correct. Yo,
Yeah.
I can contribute.
Yes. From your horizontal is the triangle above or below.
I haven't answered anything like
Oh, it's
that.
5.
I've only answered Brody and Logan.
What if I got snap? Would you give me?
No.
Ugly. Hey.
Tú eres feo y no me gusta cómo te ves.
You said it. You pay love.
Nobody knows which word it is.
That's a good thing.
I know what he's saying.
Oh,
It's
I
not
also,
good.
know how to say something in Spanish. I don't
They
know
have missing
what
Say
it
it.
is. Keegan says it all the time.
Say it.
I don't want to know what it means.
Say it. Just say it.
We're not gonna- we won't tell you what
I'll
it
just
means.
say it. Say it. Just say it. Say it.
Hey, Ben, bud.
Technically this. Yeah, that one.
Huh?
Like
No.
that yesterday?
I can't go.
No
Like
word.
that yesterday was 5 all.
I'll be there tomorrow and Friday.
Of course, Friday.
Huh? Coach Friday. Okay. I wasn't there last Friday. I skipped last Friday to pick up my
Oh,
truck.
yeah, he's gone down, I showed him that check.
What does he say?
Yeah.
I won't tell you what it means. Just say it.
That's not what it does.
Just say it. I won't tell you what it means.
There's literally a gap.
No, come on.
And he wrote seconds. So where it was where it's supposed to be. Well, same next to that one is whoever's sat there.
And Ella Bush is such a con.
What did he say?
You still smell like
Jacob.
powder.
Jacob, look
Make
right
sure
there.
you're moving your desk back where it belongs. Yes, Sam almost did, but
When juice sucks.
okay.
You know my juice stuff.
I'm not taking no chances. No, I'm just saying. Alright.
You're not gathering by the door.
Hey guys, I figured out the ultimate life 360
Jordan, you should have come here.
Whenever you're going to
How do you go through my stuff? What the heck?
You've done one at home?
I went 125.
Talking to myself?
Yep, and
Anyway,
brings
so
work.
continue.
With Jacob Rudolph.
Yeah, it does.
Jacob's not Jacob. Diego's It was the
That means look at Benjamin Eller Bush's student ID.
What did you say?
Guess what? It says Benjamin Ellerbrook on it, not your name. Give it back.
When going felonies?
What if I want to be Benjamin Eller Bush? What if he's my idol?
Yeah.
And you can idolize
I already
him.
knew that.
But if you try to impersonate him, that's considered a felony.
No, I can't do
I don't know, man.
If I could choose to not take
Boo!
I
Boo!
can't do algebra. I'm so bad at it.
You can do algebra.
Basic algebra.
No, you can do advanced algebra as well. No, May, you can't.
I look at the stuff that like some of my friends are doing, and I'm like, this is well,
That's because you've never been taught how to do it.
well, I wasn't able to do algebra last year. I had to be in algebra B.
May, based on how you do with the algebra in this class, I'd be willing to bet.
It's like easy algebra though.
Yes, but I would be willing to bet that as long as you have. Honestly, I think algebra may have been a struggle due to teaching style.
Maybe.
Because I don't think the learning style that was algebra last year, which there's nothing wrong with it, I just don't think it meshes with you.
No,
I
that's
think
it. I have learned way easier in this class. Like, I actually really like the way you teach because I can actually focus. And they're just like, pull out your notebook, write it whatever you think you need to write. But you have like a packet that tells you what you need to write in.
Yes, and while advanced algebra will not have a notes packet, most teachers do like traditional style notes in a notebook versus write down what you need. They will write down what they feel is necessary.
Okay.
And advanced algebra teachers next year, it's probably Mr. Resch. I'm hoping me. So it's gonna not be so much like the whiteboard stuff. And I
Okay.
think if you get away from that, you're gonna do just fine.
Okay.
Because the whiteboards, it works fantastically for some people, and some people not so much.
I just have a feeling, based on what I've seen, you're probably on the not so much end of that spectrum.
I don't know. I